So I'm going to talk about that sutta in a little while, but beforehand, I want to just mention what it's about. So it's kind of really about Sīla. Sīla is this big part of the Buddhist path. Some people know what it is, some people don't know what it is. And we're going to be exploring the link between Sīla and meditation, which is described in that sutta. So before we get to that sutta, before we get to the meditation, I just want to introduce an image, which I think is a very powerful image that helps us understand the place of Sīla on the Buddhist path. And it's the image of a farmer and a farmer's field. It's a beautiful image. You can see it. Closing your eyes, there's the field, and the Buddha says the farmer has these 3 urgent duties to do. So the first urgent duty this farmer has to do is to prepare the field. So, this field has rocks and pebbles and weeds in it. So the first job the farmer has is to get the soil ready. So this is the first job. Second job is to plant the seed. So you have to plant the seed at the right time and in the right way. And the third job the farmer has is to irrigate that land with water, knowing when to let the water in and knowing when to let the water out. So this is an allegory, this series of images the Buddha describes these 3 stages of our practice. And he says that we as meditators have 3 urgent duties. So the first urgent duty is for us to prepare the ground. And by this he means by practicing Sīla, Adi Sīla Sika. So this is practicing ethics, practicing virtue, practicing good conduct. So this is the first thing that we need to do as meditators, is prepare the ground by focusing on our good conduct. And then the second thing that we should do urgently is to plant that seed, and that, the Buddha says, is to develop the mind, Adi-citta Sika. So it's high training in the mind. And this is the things that we do when we practice meditation, trying to develop more wholesome states, trying to get rid of unwholesome states through the practice of meditation. So, and then we need to let that water in. We need to practice wisdom. This is the Adi-panya-sika, the training in higher wisdom. And so this is listening to Dhamma, understanding, I suppose, what it is to let the water in, when to let it in, when to let it out. And that is, of course, what to let go of and what to cultivate in the path. So this is the training in higher wisdom. That's the water, which we need for that seed to grow. And that seed has to be planted at the right time, in the right way. And of course, that seed depends entirely upon the quality of the ground, the quality of the soil, how well that has been prepared. And so that is the foundation for our practice. Our meditation relies upon our ethics, our ethical conduct. Our meditation relies upon just how virtuous we can be. And there's a direct link there. And I think it's very important for us to understand that the reason we practice ethics is not just to be good people, just to have a pat on the back, just to say we can follow so many rules or do some virtue signaling because we're not eating after noon or because we're not drinking alcohol or whatever. This is not the reason we practice ethics. The reason we practice ethics is to develop what is wholesome for us and for other people, what is beneficial to the path that will lead us out of suffering. So this is why we practice, and that's why this Sīla is one part of a whole path. 3 parts of a whole path. if you look at the Eightfold Noble Path. So that is the ethics we have when we're developing good speech, right speech, ethics we have when we're developing right action and right livelihood. And there's all sorts of other different ways we can look at Sīla as well, and I'll get to some of those a bit later. But the point I'm trying to make here at the very beginning is sometimes we don't put ethics at the forefront of our practice. We don't put ethics as the foundation of our practice, especially in the West. Sometimes when we come to Buddhism, we have had experiences with other religions maybe, where we perceive these kind of rules or precepts as more like commandments. Thou shalt do this, thou shalt do that. And this kind of puts a lot of people off the idea of religion, especially when those things can sometimes seem quite arbitrary. And so when it comes to practicing in Buddhism, when we come to Buddhism in the West, quite frequently we don't come in at the level of ethics. We come in at the level of meditation. And so we kind of skip this very important step. And this is a disappointing thing for a couple of reasons. One is that we know that we need to develop these good qualities in order to get good meditation. We also know that we need to develop these qualities to progress on the path. But for some reason, in some Western Buddhist centers, there's this dislocation of our meditation from the rest of our life. There's this dislocation from our ethics and our meditation. These two things are sometimes never mentioned together in some centers, especially in mindfulness training. You might never hear of ethical conduct. You might just go straight to the practice of meditation or mindfulness and never develop these very important foundations. And so this is something for us to be wary of, this tendency to kind of skip over something that was regarded for thousands of years and regarded by the Buddha as something essential to our practice. And so when sometimes we hear about the importance of ethics coming from a Western context, maybe we don't want to listen, we don't want to hear about these rules, these ideas, and we tune out, or we decide just to never tune into them. And so tonight I'm going to talk us through why it's important to develop Sīla and to illustrate a kind of practice that the Buddha recommended, which is the recollection of our good conduct, which is known as Sīlānussati. So this means we deliberately recollect our good conduct, our virtues, our ethical behavior. So this is a beautiful practice. It fits in with the other Anussatis. We have the Buddha-Anussati, Dhamma-Anussati, Sangha-Anussati, which you're probably aware of. Sometimes we do those practices at the beginning of our meditation in the form of a puja. And there's also one of my favorite practices, Caga-Anussati, which is the recollection of our generosity. This is also a very beautiful practice to do. And Sīlānussati is special because it reminds us of our good qualities, reminds us of our positive nature, and it celebrates that, makes much of that. And this is beautiful because so often when we think about precepts or rules, or we think about ethics, we kind of think of them as a real problem, something really burdensome, something we have to do, something that we have to tick this box to make ourselves feel better. And if we don't follow those precepts, we can start to feel bad about ourselves. If we break a precept sometimes, this is a tendency I've seen in a lot of meditators who are trying to practice, at a high level, then they get really upset if they break a precept and they focus on that. And this focusing means that they exclude all the other good things that they've done. And they forget about those things. They get stuck and they fixate on this thing that they haven't done. So there's a tendency in some meditators to be really hard upon themselves. So often when I teach things like Accāyikasutta, the practice of recollecting generosity, or Sīlānussati, the practice of recognizing our good conduct and rejoicing in that, a lot of people have a problem doing that. They can't look at their generosity and find joy. They can't see their good conduct as something to celebrate. And this is a shame, because these are the kinds of qualities that are going to push us further along the spiritual path. Recognizing that we're good people, practicing well, is something that's going to lift us, bring joy into the mind. And this joy becomes many positive mind states that develop in our meditation practice. And this is something that I'll explore in the sutta later, but for the time being, I want you to just remember that this practice of recollecting our generosity, we're not going to be remembering all the times that we broke a precept, all the times that we did something wrong, all the bad things we've done. We're not going to be remembering any of those. We're just going to be focusing on the times that we did something good, the times that we behaved well, times that we did the right thing. So this is what we're going to be focusing on. And when you start to put your behavior into this context, when you start to put those small little errors we've made in our life into a bigger context, then you'll start to see that maybe they're not so big after all, those tiny little errors, those tiny mistakes. We can see the much bigger picture that we've lived for all our life. Most of the time, we've done good actions. Most of the time, we've been good people. And so this is something that when we recognize, takes away those feelings of inadequacy, takes away that fault-finding mind that judges ourselves very harshly, and inclines our mind towards positivity, towards joyous mind states. And this, being in contact with this, is something that makes us feel good about practicing the spiritual path and which propels us further along the path. So this is what we're going to be doing now for the next 20 minutes or so. We're going to be practicing Sīlānussati. And so I'm going to guide you through this practice. And we're going to begin just by taking a comfortable posture and finding that right spot for the bottom to sit on a chair or on the ground, on a cushion. And take the shoulders up to the ears and draw them back. And gently tuck the chin. And we begin just by letting go, relaxing. What are we letting go of? We're letting go of all that tightness, tension from the day. Letting go of any physical discomfort in the body. Relaxing and softening down through the body. Letting go of any tightness. Letting go of any tension. Allowing the body to relax. Become soft. Become comfortable. We're letting go of all the activities of the day, letting go of the past, leaving it there. And not thinking and planning the future. Just being here, now, being present, being aware, and relaxed. And as the body relaxes, the mind naturally becoming calm, naturally becoming peaceful. So you just allow yourself to enjoy this relaxed body, enjoy this calm, quiet, peaceful mind. And now the body is relaxed with this calm, peaceful mind. We can begin the practice of Sīlānussati, recollecting our ethical conduct. You are a good person. You are a person of good character. You are someone who knows right from wrong. You are someone who practices an ethical path, a moral person with good conduct. And this is true. You are a good person. You are an ethical person. Every day, in so many ways, you have practiced well. You have been ethical. You have practiced morality. Every day, in many ways. Just turn your attention now to some of your actions for the day where you had some restraint, where you showed some care for yourself, showed some care for others. Where you did something wholesome, where you did something beneficial, where you did something skillful. It might be that you're practicing some of the precepts. Maybe you kept them all day long. Maybe you kept them 3/4 of the day. Maybe you managed to keep most of the precepts. Very good. You kept most of the precepts. Or maybe you had an ethical dilemma at work and you cared. Maybe you had the chance to tell a lie, but you told the truth. Whatever it is you can recall, just see how it felt, knowing that you were practicing good, ethical conduct. Is there a feeling there that you can discern? Ethical conduct is praised by the wise. Ethical conduct is liberating. Ethical conduct is conducive to the path and to meditation. And so knowing this allows some joy to come into your heart. I am a good person. I did do well. I am practicing a path of ethical conduct. And how wonderful it is in this world with so many people who are mean, bad, who hurt others. How wonderful it is I have been practicing good conduct, protecting myself, protecting others, practicing harmlessness. How wonderful, how joyous to be on this path. And allow yourself to smile, knowing you are a good person. You have so many good qualities. You've practiced so much good, wholesome, skillful, and beneficial conduct. Allow yourself to smile. Allow yourself to feel good, to feel this joy connected with the Dhamma, connected with what is wholesome and good. If this feeling fades, just remind yourself of other occasions where you've practiced ethical behavior. Remind yourself of taking the precepts, keeping the precepts. Just remind yourself you are a good person. And see if you can find a feeling associated with that goodness. See if you can allow joy to arise dependent upon that. And on this wholesome basis of ethical conduct, this joy can deepen and deepen in our meditation. This joy becomes more pleasurable, more profound. And as we come towards the end of this short practice of Sīlānussati, just taking a few moments to look back, reflecting. How did it feel to look at your behavior? Were you able to see the goodness in yourself? Were you able to see how this goodness creates joy in the mind? And if it was difficult, why was it difficult? And how do you feel now? And then to finish the practice, we can dedicate the merit of this good inner work that we've been doing. We can dedicate it to the benefit of others, thinking, may all beings develop good conduct. May all beings be ethical towards others. May all beings be a source of harmlessness in this world. May all beings attain nibbana. And then when you're ready, just relaxing your awareness and arising from the meditation and opening the eyes. So I hope you enjoyed that practice. So it's not commonly taught, actually, and I think that's a sadness, actually, because we can develop so much from just reflecting upon our goodness. And it's not something that we do. Often we've been trained perhaps to not look favourably upon ourselves, but to look with a critical eye, always looking for those mistakes, always looking for the things we did wrong, always fixating, getting stuck on those things. And this is a great tragedy. It leads to so many neuroses, so much depression, so much anxiety and fear. And this is, of course, the opposite of what we need to cultivate on the path. When we feel good about ourselves, we're more inclined towards looking after our well-being and the well-being of others. When we feel good about the things that we're doing, then we can have some sort of confidence, some sort of faith in the spiritual path. And that's why it's very important to develop this idea of noticing our ethical conduct, realizing that it matters, that it does actually affect the mind, and it does actually have an impact on the way we view our practice as a whole and the way we view our practice internally and how we view it externally. So